afternoon, everybody. This is Jeremy Romero, and I will be your speaker this afternoon together with Mr. Michael Taranya, and we are from Math Major. And in this informational video, we will going to cover all about typology of learners with special needs, learners with physical disabilities to be specific. To start, let us first broaden the phrase physical disabilities. Physical disabilities, this is a persons with physical conditions affecting how individuals live their lives. Students or persons with physical disabilities may have problems related to movement, postures like sitting or standing, grasping or manipulating objects, communication, eating, and even reflexed movement. As we all know, the initial barrier experienced by children with physical disabilities is physically accessing to the world of learning or education. Fortunately, in this present time, there are many shelters that are accepting that kind of situation. The good thing is that inclusive education is introduced in an early time. Let us now explore the four major categories of physical disabilities, starting with visual impairment. Visually impaired children may be defined as those children who are suffering from the impaired conditions, difficulties and deficiencies present in their visual organs which make them different from children with normal vision to the extent of requiring special education provision. To make it more comprehensive, when we're talking about visual impairment, this is any kind of vision loss. This is a condition that causes problems to inability to see. Some people are completely blind, but many others have what as you call legal blindness. So under this visual impairment, there are various types, and let's begin with hyperopia. Hyperopia or farsightedness can see objects far away but not near. So meaning to say, you can see things that are far away better than things that are up close. In the case of persons with this disability, nearby objects may appear blurry. Next is myopia or nearsightedness. Can see objects far near but not far away. This is an opposite of hyperopia. When you are aligned to the definitions earlier, persons with this myopia have difficulty seeing distant objects but can see objects that are nearby clear. Astigmatism. So, astigmatism, you cannot focus at one object regularly. This is a common eye condition that causes blurred vision. That's why many people uses lenses or eyeglasses. So if you are having trouble seeing objects, specifically if you are looking for a particular object and you found it blurry, you probably have astigmatism. Color blindness is also part of visual impairment. I know that some of you are aware with this condition. This is a problem with cone cells of the eye. Trouble telling the difference between colors. So if you have this condition, it means you see colors differently than most people do. Okay, next is retinopathy of prematurity. This is an eye caused by abnormal blood vessel growth in the light-sensitive part of the eyes of premature infants. Scarring and detachment of the retina can result from this condition. The next is macular degeneration. Macular degeneration, loss of central vision. This is a chronic eye disorder that causes blurred vision or a blind spot in our visual field. It's generally caused by abnormal blood vessels that leak fluid or blood into the part of retina we're responsible for central vision. Next is glaucoma. Glaucoma is due to the blockage of the fluids that normally circulate within the eye. This is a group of eye condition that damage the optic nerve, and this damage is often caused by abnormally high pressure in our eye. This disability or condition is primarily one of the leading causes of blindness for people over at the age of 60. Diabetic retinopathy is also part of visual impairment. Diabetes unusual interference with the blood supply to the retina. It may result in serious vision impairment. From the word itself, diabetic, this is an eye disease caused by the high blood sugar from diabetes. Next is cataract. Cataract is a condition or state of cloudiness in the lens into a distorted or incomplete vision. In a simple context, people who have this visual impairment is like seeing through a frosty or fog area or surrounding. You can identify easily if you have cataracts through that symptoms. Next is amblyopia or lazy eye. This means one eye vision loss due to muscle imbalance. This is generally develops from birth up to age 7 years, and amblyopia develops when the image in one eye is blurred and the other eye is clear. Next is cross eye. It represents an inability of the individual to focus on the same object with both eyes simultaneously. In other words, one eye is turned in direction that is different from the one eye. The last part is coloboma, a condition in which the central areas of the retina of a newborn are found incomplete in their formation, a condition that occurs before birth. In simple description, you have coloboma when part of the tissue on your eye is or are missing. More awareness upon knowing how this visual impairments acquired, I will mention some causes of it. And the first one is transfer of genes associated from the parents, or probably carelessness adopted by pregnant mothers, mishaps and incidents, unfavorable conditions, eye infections and eye disease, evil effects of fatal disease, or improper postures adopted at workplace, or probably reading, writing, and working in defective and improper lights. For you all know, I am telling this variety of visual impairment because first, as a student right now, we can be aware to those conditions so we can, easily notify ourselves if we are experiencing symptoms that match on any of those visual impairments. Also, we can be able to take actions easily before something getting worse. In addition, as future educators studying this kind of talks or context, we will be able to address students with this kind of situation in the future, and we can think strategies that will improve their learning despite their active conditions. And speaking of strategies, I will show you the different learning strategies that can apply to this persons with physical disabilities. Okay, here are some of learning strategies that we can apply for the students with visual impairment. First is encourage the student to use visual aids or resources that have been prescribed, like glasses, magnifiers, big print books, and many more. Next one is that we should also make sure that light is suitable for those students with problems related to light. Next is consider the use of enlarged print, magnified worksheets, and printed materials must be clear and dark. Next is supplement visual materials with clear verbal explanation. And the last one strategy is increase oral activities. Apart from visual impairment as physical disabilities, we also have three remaining topics of impairments, and hearing impairment is one of those. Hearing impairment is hearing loss. Children or somebody who are suffering hard time to hear or understand sounds. That is hearing impairment. This is often used to describe a wide range of hearing losses, including deafness. Earlier, I stated visual impairment, which is kind of physical condition that talks about vision. Now, this hearing impairment is also any physical condition that affect our auditory. Just like visual impairment, there are also a variety of types under this hearing impairment. And first one is conductive loss. So conductive loss refers to decrease in sound caused by a problem in the outer or middle ear. It happens when sounds cannot get through the outer and middle ear. For those people who have this kind of condition, they may be hard to hear soft sounds, louder sounds, may be muffled. Next type of hearing impairment is sensory neural loss. Refers to a problem located in the inner ear or along the nerve pathway between the inner ear and the brain. You can have this condition if you having trouble hearing sounds when there is background noise, trouble hearing high-pitched sounds, or feeling like you can hear voices but can't understand them. And the third and last type is mixed loss. It refers to a conductive loss and sensory neural loss occurring at the same time. When we're talking about this hearing loss, this is the combination of two hearing impairments, the conductive loss and sensory neural loss, okay? In this hearing impairment, we have two ages, prelingual and postlingual. When we're talking about prelingual, this is the loss of hearing where speech and language have not yet developed, or deaf child. It means that this impairment can exist before a child acquiring speech and language. It appears in a newborn baby and infants up to the age where they can understand the surrounding. The last or the second one is postlingual, the loss of hearing after spontaneous speech and language develop. This impairment appears at any point after a child has acquired speech. Well, I know that some of you will ask how hearing impairment occurs, and I will tell you some of them. The first one is a gradual build-up of earwax. Next is ear infections and abnormal growths or tumors, or ruptured eardrum, and the last one is damage to the inner ear, okay? Earlier, I mentioned variety of learning strategies that we can apply for those students with visual impairment. And now, let's move on to some of learning strategies that we can apply for those students with hearing impairment. The first strategy is use assistive listening devices such as induction loops if these are available in the lecture theater. Hearing aids may include transmitter or receiver systems with any clip-on microphone for the lecturer. Also ensure that any background noise is minimized. And this third one is repeat clearly any questions asked by students in the lecture or class before giving a response. We also have strategy like do not speak when facing the blackboard. Be aware that mustache, beards, hands, books, or microphones in front of your face can add to the difficulties. Okay, provide written materials to supplement all lectures, tutorials, and laboratory sessions. It is somehow difficult for a student with hearing impairment to follow the lectures and discussion. So it is necessary to provide learning materials for them in order to get a clear knowledge for the discussion. And the last one is allow assignments and reviews to be completed on a in-depth study of a few texts rather than a broad study of many.
This is Michael J. Torreña, and I'm going to discuss the remaining physical impairments. Speech impairments. Speech impairments are disorder of speech sounds fluency or voice and interfere with communication, adversely affect performance and or functioning in educational environment, and result in the need for exceptional student of education. In a simple description, this is a kind of physical disorder that having time pronouncing different speech sounds. They might distort the sounds of some words and leave other sounds completely. General categories of speech impairments. There are the three types of speech impairment, and the first one is the fluency disorders. It is difficulties with the rhyme and timing of speech characterized by hesitation, repetition, and prolongation of sound syllables, words, and phrases. In a simple definition, this type of speech impairment can describe as unusual repetition of sounds and rhyme. The exact cause of fluency disorders are not known. It is said to be generally passed and run in the families. The number 2 is the voice disorders. Problems with the quality or use of one's voice resulting from disorder is the larynx. It means you have typical tone of voice. It could be unusual pitch, quality, resonance, or volume. There are a lot of situations that can cause voice disorder, including surgery, respiratory illness, or allergies. Number 3 is the articulation disorder. This is the errors in production of speech sounds that may be related to anatomical or neuromuscular support for speech production. If you have articulation disorder, you might distort certain sounds like silip for sip. You could also fully emit sounds like boo for boat, or substitute sounds like wabbit for rabbit. Brain injury, thinking or development disabilities, physical problems that affect speech such as cleft palate or cleft lip are cause of this disorder. Teaching strategies for children or students with speech impairment. Number 1. Educational professional. Students with speech or language impairment will receive service from many educational professionals, including general educational teacher, special education teacher, and speech language pathologists. The general education and special education teacher should both collaborate with the speech language pathologist for intervention and teaching strategies. Number 2. Assistive technology. Students with speech and language impairments have an array of computer software packages available to develop their speech and language skills. Students with speech impairment may use Agreement or Alternative Communication (AAC). AAC is the use of symbols, aids, and techniques to enhance the communication process. This includes sign language and various communication boards. Another impairment is multiple physical impairment. Having multiple disabilities means that the person has more than one physical disability. For example, an impairment in intellectual blindness disability and a combination of autism and cerebral palsy. For better comprehension, listen to the story of Sharon, who has multiple physical impairment. Sharon is an active 5-year-old who loved to spend time with her grandmother. She also loved to finger paint and play with the family dog. Sharon has multiple disabilities. When she was born, she didn't get enough oxygen. As a result, she has intellectual disability, which result for problem in mobility and speech impairment that makes it hard to understand what she's saying. That doesn't stop Sharon from shattering. She has a lot to say. For Sharon's parents, it's been a long road from Sharon's birth to today. When she was a baby, she began receiving special services called early intervention. These services help children with disability from birth to their 3rd birthday. In early intervention, Sharon learned to crawl and to understand and finally to walk with braces. From Sharon's story, we could say that she has an intellectual disorder and speech impairment and also problems in mobility, which we can call as an example of multiple physical impairment. What causes of multiple physical impairment? Chromosomal abnormalities, premature birth, difficulties from birth, poor development of the brain or spinal cord, infection, genetic disorders, injuries from accident. Tips for teachers on how to address children with multiple physical impairment. Know the needs, play the strengths. Each student with multiple disabilities will have his or her own set of skills, strengths, and learning needs. Learning more about each disability of the students will helpful in addressing those learning needs. In addition, as a teacher, you have to find out more about the student's strengths and interests. Preference, this can be used to motivate the students and enrich the education he or she receives. 2. Make modification. Students with multiple disabilities often need substantial modification and accommodation in the classroom. This will help them access the general education curriculum at a grade appropriate level. Number 3. Allow partial participation as necessary. Partial participation means the students with multiple disabilities aren't excluded from activities because they might not be able to complete a task or independently. Modification can be made to the task itself or to how a student particulate. Consider assistive technology. Assistive technology is appropriate, even essential for many students with multiple disabilities. Without assistive technology, there may be many tasks they simply cannot perform or will have difficulty performing. Practice and reinforce. In this particular scenario, teachers should be concrete in anything gives a lot of hands-on opportunities for learning practice. Give feedback immediately that will help boosting intellectual and emotional aspects. Repeat the learning tasks in different settings. Support related services in the classroom. Depending on student disabilities, children may need related services to benefit special education. Related services may include speech-language therapy, occupational therapy, or orientation and mobility services. It best practice to provide these services in the classroom during the natural routine of the school. We are hoping that you earn enough and valuable lesson in our educational video. Thank you for listening and have a nice day everyone.